I never imagined my marriage would unravel like this. But here I am, 5 years into being married to Tyler. He's 30, and things have taken a turn I never expected. Ask anyone around us and they'd likely say we had a solid relationship, that is, until you throw his mother, Colleen, she's 65, into the picture. Right from the beginning, it was obvious Colleen didn't think I was good enough for her son. She never said it directly, but the message came through loud and clear. It was in the sly remarks, the phony compliments, and all the subtle ways she made it known that Tyler had a life before me, and she was the most important part of it. At first, I brushed it off. After all, I was married to Tyler, not his mother. I figured she'd come around in time. Turns out, I was wrong. It started with the kind of comments that sound polite but cut deep. I'd make dinner, and she'd smile and say something like, "Oh, well, this is different." She'd follow that up with, "Tyler's always been a fan of homemade meals," like I was feeding him fast food from a can. If I brought up my job, she'd sigh dramatically and say, "I just don't understand how women today manage everything." I could never imagine putting a job ahead of my family. She never directly said I was a bad wife, but she made sure I felt like one. And Tyler? His answer was always the same, "Just ignore it. She doesn't mean anything by it." So, I kept letting it go. Again and again. Then came Thanksgiving. We hosted his whole family at our place. I spent the entire day in the kitchen, pouring my heart into the meal. I just wanted to make a good impression, to show I cared. The second Colleen tasted the mashed potatoes, she put her fork down, smirked, and chuckled. "Well, I guess that's one way to make mashed potatoes." You could hear a pin drop. Even Tyler's sister looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. Tyler? He didn't say a word. I felt humiliated, but I tried to let it go. Maybe she just didn't like my cooking. That I could live with. But then she started going after my job. Colleen had always made it known that she wasn't a fan of me working full-time. She had her own very firm idea of what a wife was supposed to be. One day, she was sitting in my kitchen, drinking coffee she didn't even ask to make, and casually said, "I just don't know how you two manage." I'd be terrified to count on a career. You never know what could happen. She followed it up with, "If something goes wrong, Tyler would have to carry the whole load. That's a heavy burden for a man." What she was really saying? I should quit and stay home. That was the moment I reached my breaking point. I looked her in the eye and said, "Let's get something straight, Colleen. Tyler isn't in charge of me. He doesn't let me work. I have a career because I want one. And I don't need you reminding me how lucky I am to have a husband who provides, when I provide just fine for myself." I kept my tone calm and steady. No yelling. No insults. But you'd think I slapped her across the face. Her eyes welled up instantly, and she gasped, covering her mouth like I'd shattered her soul. "I was just trying to help," she said, voice trembling. "You didn't have to humiliate me." And right on cue, Tyler walked in and saw her crying. And what did he do? He turned to me and snapped, "Why do you always have to act like this? She was just talking. You embarrassed her." I stood there, speechless. Embarrassed her? This woman had been slowly picking me apart for years, and I was the one out of line? I looked him straight in the eyes and said, "I'm not apologizing for defending myself." His face turned cold. "Then maybe you should leave until you can be reasonable." He didn't shout. He didn't argue. He said it like it was a perfectly normal request, sending his wife out of her own house because she wouldn't bow down to his mother. I grabbed my bag and walked out. He didn't stop me. I drove straight to Jenna's place, my best friend. She opened the door, took one look at me, and pulled me inside without a word. She sat me on her couch and handed me a drink. "Start from the beginning," she said. I didn't cry. I was too furious to cry. So I told her. Everything. Every jab, every insult, every time Tyler waved it off like it meant nothing. Jenna was livid. "You do realize this isn't normal, right? A man who loves you doesn't kick you out to keep his mommy happy." I knew she was right. But in the back of my mind, there was still that small voice whispering, maybe I overreacted. Maybe Tyler just didn't know how to handle it. Then the text started. "I didn't mean it like that. Can we talk? I overreacted. It's not the same without you here. Please come home." Then came a more irritated one, "Are you seriously ignoring me?" And of course, one from Colleen, "I'm sorry if you were offended by what I said. We really need to move past this." Tyler's very upset. If I was offended? Jenna snatched the phone out of my hands. Let me guess, no real apology, just more guilt-tripping? I nodded. She rolled her eyes and tossed my phone onto the table. You are not going back there just because they suddenly feel guilty. They didn't care when they kicked you out. She was right again. I wasn't going back. And I had no idea just how desperate Tyler and Colleen were about to get. Ignoring Tyler's messages turned out to be easier than I thought. The first one came less than an hour after I walked out. Then another. And another. At first, he kept it civil. Let's talk. I didn't mean it like that. Come home and we'll sort this out. But soon it shifted to guilt. The house feels so empty without you. Why are you blowing this out of proportion? Are you really going to throw everything away over one fight? I didn't reply. Then Colleen chimed in with a massive paragraph. I barely had to read it, I knew exactly what it was going to say. A fake apology topped with more passive aggression. I skimmed it. I'm sorry if you felt hurt by what I said. That wasn't my intention. But you're making a big deal out of nothing, and it's breaking Tyler's heart. Don't you care about him? Jenna grabbed my phone, read it out loud in a sickly sweet voice, and rolled her eyes. Of course. She's not sorry for what she did, she's just sorry you didn't take it lying down. And now she's trying to paint you as the villain. She folded her arms. If you go back now without him acknowledging what he did, this never ends. She was right. Tyler didn't want to deal with the truth. He just wanted to pretend this was a little misunderstanding. But it wasn't. Not this time. I wasn't letting it slide. Later that night, someone pounded on Jenna's door. Loud. Relentless. We exchanged a look and she peered through the peephole. Then she groaned. It's Tyler. Before I could even react, the knocking came again. Then again. Jenna flung the door open, stepping between us like a bodyguard. Tyler looked like a wreck. His hair was a mess, his eyes bloodshot like he hadn't slept in days. He was holding his phone in one hand, running the other through his hair like he was on the verge of losing it. I just need to talk to her, he said. Jenna didn't budge. She stood her ground in the doorway. Did she ask you to come here? She asked Tyler, arms folded. He shook his head silently. Her eyebrow arched. Then what exactly are you doing here? Tyler's jaw tightened. He didn't answer her, his eyes went straight past Jenna, locking on me. Please, he said. Just come home. Behind him, I noticed a couple of Jenna's neighbors had stepped out onto their balconies, quietly watching the scene unfold. Tyler noticed too. He shifted awkwardly, clearly uncomfortable under their stares. Still, Jenna didn't move. Either you talk here, she said flatly, or not at all. Tyler let out a sharp breath and turned back to face me. I messed up, he admitted. I know I did. But this is spiraling. My mom's a wreck. I'm miserable. None of this had to happen if you had just. He stopped himself. But I knew exactly how that sentence was going to end, if I had just apologized. I took a slow breath, holding his gaze. If you're about to say this is somehow my fault, I said quietly, you might as well turn around right now. Tyler ran a hand through his hair, trying to collect himself. That's not what I meant. I just think this isn't something we should destroy our marriage over. Jenna let out a short, sharp laugh. Tyler tried to keep going. I'll make it up to you, he said quickly. We can take a trip. Just the two of us. Or I can get you something nice. Whatever you want. Just, come back home. It was all bargaining. Bribes instead of accountability. I shook my head. This isn't about a getaway or presents, Tyler. It's about basic respect. Your mother talks down to me constantly, and you let her. And when I finally stood up for myself, your solution was to kick me out of my own home. He exhaled again. I just wanted to keep the peace. At my expense, I shot back. Silence followed. Jenna shifted her weight from one foot to the other but stayed right where she was, arms still crossed. Tyler looked absolutely drained, but I wasn't about to let that sway me. I'm not coming back, I said firmly, unless you're ready to draw some real boundaries with your mother. If you can't do that, this marriage isn't going to survive. His shoulders tightened. Why can't you just be the bigger person? That did it. I let out a dry laugh. I've been the bigger person since the day we got married. And look where it's gotten me. More silence. Then he snapped. His face twisted with anger and frustration. You're impossible, he spat. And just like that, he turned on his heel and stormed off. Jenna closed the door behind him with a solid click. For a long moment, we didn't say a word. Then she let out a slow whistle. That was a train wreck. I sat down heavily on the couch, rubbing my temples. He's never going to understand, I muttered. My phone buzzed. It was a message, from Tyler's sister. I hesitated, then opened it. I don't know what's going on, but Mom's hysterical, and Tyler's saying you're being unreasonable. Can't you just smooth this over? Jenna saw my face and immediately snatched the phone from my hands. Oh, come on, she groaned. Of course they're bringing in backup now. I leaned back against the cushions, eyes on the ceiling. For a second, doubt crept in. Maybe I was being too harsh. Maybe this really wasn't worth all the chaos. Jenna sat down next to me, tapping her fingers on the couch cushion. This is exactly what manipulative people do, she said. They don't change. They just make you second-guess yourself. She was right again. Tyler didn't come to apologize. He came to convince me to drop it. He dangled treats, tried to guilt me, then got mad when I stood my ground. This fight wasn't over. Not even close. And I was about to see just how far they were willing to go. After Tyler's dramatic doorstep visit, he went completely silent. No more texts. No more pleading. No more guilt trips. Just radio silence. I should have known it wouldn't last. Instead of owning up to anything, he and Colleen decided to change tactics. The first warning came when my mom called, furious. Apparently, Colleen had been busy behind the scenes. She'd contacted just about every relative she could think of, weaving a fresh narrative. According to her, I had walked out on Tyler over a silly disagreement. That I was being prideful. That I was blowing things out of proportion and wrecking a perfectly good marriage over nothing. Tyler, meanwhile, had fully embraced the role of poor, abandoned husband. Suddenly, I was getting messages from distant family members I hadn't heard from in years. All of them full of unsolicited advice. You know marriage takes work, right? Maybe it's time to compromise. Tyler's heartbroken. Is this really the hill you want to die on? I ignored every single one. But my parents didn't. My mom called again, still seething. She told Colleen off without hesitation, said what Tyler did was unforgivable and she wasn't going to pretend otherwise. My dad? He was ready to drive to Tyler's house and handle it himself. I let them take the reins. I was done wasting breath trying to explain myself to people who didn't even know the full story. Then something surprising happened. I got a message from Tyler's cousin, Erica. We barely knew each other. She lived in another state, and I'd only met her a couple of times at family events. But she'd seen Colleen in action. I just want you to know I believe you, she wrote. My ex went through the same thing with Aunt Colleen. She got into his head until he left me. Tyler never did a thing to stop it. I asked her what exactly she meant. Erica told me that her ex had been completely isolated. Colleen poisoned every argument, every disagreement, until he believed she was the only one on his side. Eventually, he broke and walked away. I wasn't surprised. I asked if she ever called Tyler out on it. Oh yeah, she replied. He always brushed it off like it wasn't his problem. A pattern. A long-standing one. And I wasn't about to become another casualty of Colleen's control games. The very next day, I woke up to dozens of messages in the family group chat. Colleen had gone full-blown dramatic. She posted a long-winded rant about how families should support one another and how certain people were tearing the family apart over absolutely nothing. I was done staying quiet. I wrote back directly. Colleen, let's be clear. Tyler didn't lose his wife over nothing. He lost her because he kicked me out of our home to protect your ego instead of protecting our marriage. That was his decision. Not mine. She didn't reply. But Tyler did. Are you serious right now? He texted. You're making this worse by dragging everyone into it. I stared at the message for a second before typing back. You mean the people your mom dragged in first? He didn't reply right away. Then came. This isn't helping. I fired back. You kicked me out instead of defending me. I'm not pretending that didn't happen. A few minutes passed before another text came through. Fine. What do you want? I was done playing text games. I called him. No more sidestepping. I laid it out clearly. We need therapy. If you won't sit down with a professional and work through this with me, then there's nothing left to save. He resisted right away. I don't need a stranger telling me how to run my marriage. I didn't fight him on it. Then there is no marriage, I said. Silence. Then, for the first time, he hesitated. Let me think about it. I ended the call. Not even an hour later, Colleen blew up my phone with a voice message. She started the voice message with sobbing. Loud, theatrical sniffles. She said I was heartless, that I was putting Tyler in an impossible position, that I was tearing the family apart. I didn't reply. But maybe something finally clicked for Tyler, because 5 hours later, he sent a message that was short and, for once, didn't sound like another guilt trip. Let's talk. And this time, I could tell he actually meant it. Still, I wasn't about to let my guard down. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. I agreed to meet him, but only under my conditions. Neutral territory. No house. No advantage. And absolutely no chance of Colleen being anywhere nearby. We met at a small cafe not far from Jenna's apartment. Tyler was already there when I walked in, hunched over his coffee like it was the only thing holding him together. He looked rough, like he hadn't slept in days. I sat down, and the first thing out of his mouth? Let's just move past this. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I was wrong. Just those 3 words, like he was trying to fast forward through the damage. I gave him a chance to redeem himself, stayed quiet to see where he'd go with it. But he kept talking. This is getting out of hand. The family's upset. Mom's in pieces. We don't need to make it worse. Still no accountability, just damage control. I folded my arms. What exactly do you think we're moving past? He sighed, rubbing his temples like this whole conversation was somehow exhausting for him. I know I screwed up, all right? But I didn't mean it that way. I just wanted to keep the peace. There it was again. The same excuse, on repeat. I stared at him. And keeping the peace meant telling your wife to get out of her own house? He let out a sharp breath. I panicked. I didn't actually think you'd leave. That was the real issue. He never thought I'd follow through. So I told him, straight up. I wasn't coming back unless he admitted what he'd done and finally put some real boundaries between himself and his mother. His jaw tightened. You want me to cut off my mom? I shook my head. No. I want you to act like you're married to me, not her. Right then, my phone buzzed. Of course, it was Colleen. Another long message. I love you like a daughter. I never wanted to hurt you. Seeing the family like this is breaking my heart. Can't we just let it go? Sure. Because nothing screams motherly love like manipulating your son into kicking out his wife. I ignored it. And, right on cue, when I didn't answer, she sent another one. This one wasn't sweet at all. I don't know how you can be so cold. Tyler's suffering because of you. I hope you're happy, tearing this family apart. Tyler saw me glance at my phone. She means well, he muttered, almost like he was embarrassed to say it. That was it. My patience snapped. No. She doesn't mean well. She wants control. And you keep handing it to her. He clenched his jaw again but didn't try to argue. I leaned in a little. You're the one who told me to leave, Tyler. You put us in this mess, not me. He hesitated. I saw it, that crack in his confidence, that flicker of doubt in his eyes. So I pushed. You have one shot at fixing this. We go to therapy. Together. Or we don't go anywhere. He went quiet. Then, I don't need therapy. I stood up. Then we've got nothing left to discuss. He panicked, his voice rising. Wait. Just, wait. He dragged a hand down his face. He looked like he wanted to be anywhere else but at that table. I need some time to think. I gave him a hard look. You don't have a lot of time left. Then I walked out. Later that night, Colleen called. Crying. Full performance mode. Sniffles. Voice cracking. Tyler spiraling. He won't eat. He barely speaks. You're his wife, how can you just abandon him like this? I let her finish her whole act before calmly saying the one thing I knew she never expected to hear. Tyler's feelings are his responsibility. Not mine. Dead silence. Then she snapped. You've changed him. He was never like this before you came along. I didn't even respond. I hung up. A few minutes later, Tyler sent another text. I can't lose you. Let's talk. Fine. But this time it was going to happen on my terms. And if he still didn't get it, then that was it. We were done. We met at the same cafe. Public. Calm. No drama. No Colleen hovering behind the scenes. No advantage for him. Just me and Tyler. Again. He was already seated when I arrived. His leg bounced restlessly under the table, and his fingers drummed nervously on his coffee cup. He looked like a man on the edge. The second I sat down, he leaned in. Let's fix this. Still not I'm sorry. Still not I was wrong. Just, let's fix this, like this was some minor glitch we could patch over, not a complete betrayal. I stayed silent. He sighed. I screwed up, okay? I panicked. I acted on impulse. I shouldn't have told you to leave. I let that hang in the air before responding. You didn't panic. You made a decision. His grip on the coffee cup tightened. I didn't mean it the way it came out. I leaned back in my seat. You keep saying that like it makes a difference. He went quiet. Then he tried again. I was caught off guard. My mom started crying, and I didn't know how to handle it. I gave him a long, steady look. You're a grown man, Tyler. And when it came down to it, your instinct was to defend your mom and kick your wife out instead of standing up for your marriage? His jaw locked. I just didn't want to upset her. I nodded slowly. So instead, you upset me. Tyler looked down, eyes fixed on the table like it held the answers. I kept going. Do you even realize what you're asking me to come back to? You're asking me to return to a house where your mother might pull this again, and where you've already proven whose side you'll take. He winced. His hands tensed again. That's not fair, he muttered. It's exactly what happened, I said. Silence stretched between us. His knee bounced faster, his gaze darting to the window, the floor, anywhere but me. Then, he finally admitted something real. I don't know how to handle her. The first honest thing he'd said this whole time. I didn't let up. Then figure it out. Because I'm not living like this anymore. He looked up at me, desperate. Can't you just meet me halfway? I let out a dry, cold laugh. I've been meeting you halfway since the day we got married. And look where it's gotten me. His face dropped. For the first time, he looked genuinely scared. Like he finally realized I wasn't bluffing anymore. I leaned forward again. I'm not your mom's enemy, Tyler. But if you keep treating me like I am, I won't be your wife either. He swallowed, eyes wide. I need time. I didn't flinch. You don't have much left. Tyler leaned back in his chair and rubbed a hand down his face. He looked wrecked. Like he was finally grasping the weight of the situation. Then he nodded. I need to figure out how to deal with her. I stood up. Then do it. He looked up at me, alarmed. I met his eyes. But I'm not waiting forever. And then I gave him a deadline. He had one last shot. If Tyler didn't step up and set firm boundaries with his mother, I was done. No more second chances. No more stalling. I'd file for divorce. Tyler looked like I'd just slapped him. Like he finally realized, for the first time, that I really could walk away. And I would. I think that truth hit him hard. I turned and walked out of that cafe without looking back. The cool air outside felt sharper, clearer. And in that moment, something became painfully clear: I was never going to stay married to a man who wouldn't stand beside me. I'd rather be alone than be partnered with someone who couldn't back me up. A week went by with complete silence. Not a word from Tyler. No texts. No missed calls. At first, I wanted to believe he was finally doing some soul-searching. But after a few days, I started to wonder if he was just hiding. Maybe this wasn't thoughtful reflection, maybe it was just avoidance. Something about it didn't sit right. I tried to keep myself busy, hung out more with Jenna, picked up some old hobbies, even started browsing apartment listings. But there was a pit in my stomach that wouldn't go away. It felt like Tyler had already checked out and was just waiting for me to fold. And then Jenna said the thing I needed to hear. "Don't let him use silence as a weapon," she warned. "He's not thinking, he's avoiding. If he really wanted to fix this, he'd be showing up and doing the work. You can't keep waiting around, hoping he'll grow up." It hit hard. But she was right. And just when I was starting to accept that Tyler wasn't going to change, I got a message from him. "Can we meet? I have something important to say." I agreed. But this time I expected nothing. We met at a park, the one we used to go to when life was simpler. He sat down on the bench across from me, looking nervous in a way I hadn't seen before. He opened his mouth and paused, like he was trying to pick the perfect words. "I've been thinking," he started, then stopped again. I didn't say anything. I had a feeling where this was going. And then he said it: before deciding anything, he went to talk to Colleen. My stomach dropped. The entire atmosphere around us felt different, heavy. Like the air had been sucked out of the park. He said it like it was logical, like it made perfect sense that he needed his mom's take on everything before making up his mind. He'd gone to her first. Not to me, his wife. Something inside me broke. I felt this strange, unsettling calm take over, but the words poured out of me. "So you had to ask your mother for permission before deciding whether to respect your wife?" Tyler looked stunned, only for a second. "I just wanted her perspective," he said, like that somehow justified it. "I get it now, okay? I see where you're coming from." But it didn't matter. I didn't even hear most of what came next. The damage was done. He'd already chosen whose opinion mattered most. I stared at him for a long, quiet moment. "No, Tyler," I said. "If you truly understood, you wouldn't have needed to ask her in the first place." He started panicking. His voice got higher, shakier. "I'll cut her off. I swear. Just give me one more chance. I'll make it right." But I didn't believe him anymore. "You can't fix this," I said softly. "It's too late." His face contorted like he'd been punched. "Please," he whispered, "I never thought you'd actually leave me." And that was the final punch to the gut. He never believed I'd walk away. He thought I'd just keep settling, keep swallowing the disrespect, keep forgiving. I stood up. "I'm filing for divorce." I meant it. Every word. Tyler collapsed in on himself, right there on the bench. Tears streamed down his face. "No, please," he begged. "Please don't do this." But I was done. My voice was calm, resolute. "You had your chance. I'm done." I turned and started walking away. That's when my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was Colleen. Calling. I ignored it. She called again. Then again. The rage bubbled up in my chest. I finally picked up, but I didn't say a word. Her voice came through, shrill and furious. "You've ruined his life, you know that? You've taken everything from him." I let her rant, let her scream. And when she finally stopped to catch her breath, I said the only thing that mattered. "I didn't ruin his life. You did, when you taught him that your feelings mattered more than his wife's." Then I ended the call. I blocked her number. Deleted every text. That was the last time I ever heard Colleen's voice. No more interference. No more manipulation. I turned back to Tyler, still sitting on the bench, stunned, pale. "You and I are done," I told him. "From here on out, you contact me through my lawyer." And with that, I walked away. Something lifted off my shoulders in that moment. A weight I didn't even realize I'd been carrying for years. That same day, I signed the lease on my new apartment. My own place. My own peace. Finally. Every step away from that toxic mess of a marriage was a step toward healing. I had finally remembered who I was, and what I deserved. The hardest part was over. The road ahead was mine to walk. I didn't know what the future would hold, but for the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful. That hope didn't last long before Tyler tried coming back into the picture again. As soon as I made it clear I had filed for divorce, the messages started flooding in. I can change. I'll do anything. Just come back. At first, I wondered, was this his turning point? But it didn't take long to recognize the pattern. It wasn't growth. It was guilt-tripping. Again. He wasn't trying to understand. He was trying to manipulate. I ignored every message. I didn't even open them. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't about him realizing how wrong he'd been. It was about control. He was losing it, and that terrified him. And then it escalated. Colleen showed up at my workplace. I was in the middle of a meeting when I got a message from security. "There's a woman here asking to see you. Says it's urgent." I didn't even need to ask who it was. I headed downstairs, and sure enough, there she was in the lobby, tears in her eyes, clutching her purse like it held her soul together. She tried again. Same script. Same theatrics. "Please don't do this to Tyler. You're destroying everything. I never wanted this to happen." I didn't give her the satisfaction of a reply. I turned to the security guard and quietly asked him to escort her out. That was the cleanest, most peaceful way to end it. As she walked away, still pleading, I sent Tyler a message. "Your mother just showed up at my job. If this continues, I will take legal action." I honestly thought that would be the final chapter. But I was wrong. The divorce went through. When I officially filed for divorce, Tyler's reaction was pure disbelief. Honestly, I don't think he ever thought I'd actually go through with it. The texts came fast, and they were full of shock. "You're really doing this? Over one fight?" That's when things got ugly. The first thing Tyler did was flip the narrative. Suddenly, he was the poor victim, and I was the cold wife who tossed out our entire marriage over a single disagreement. He told anyone who'd listen that I walked away from him for no real reason. I don't know if he genuinely believed repeating that lie would make it true, or if he thought it would pressure me into backing down. Either way, it wasn't going to work. I had receipts. I'd saved screenshots of everything, his texts where he told me to leave, all the times he ignored my boundaries, and every manipulative message that came after. I wasn't interested in revenge, I just wanted to make sure the truth didn't get distorted. When a few mutual friends and acquaintances started reaching out, asking what had really happened, I shared the screenshots. Quietly. Just so people would understand. I didn't want Tyler rewriting history while I stayed silent. But when I posted a few of those texts online in a private thread, the response was bigger than I expected. People I never thought would take my side came forward. They shared stories. Some said they'd always noticed how Tyler deferred to Colleen, how it felt like he was more afraid of upsetting his mom than losing his wife. Some even admitted they had seen red flags but didn't want to get involved at the time. Now, they saw the truth. And they were saying it out loud. But of course, Colleen wasn't done. A few days later, I got a handwritten letter in the mail from her. Pages and pages, carefully worded. She claimed she'd never meant any harm, that she only ever wanted a close relationship with me. That she was just trying to protect her son. She said she was deeply sorry for how things turned out. I didn't finish reading it. I blocked her number the same day. I had no interest in engaging with someone who thought guilt-tripping was a form of connection. By that point, Tyler had started unraveling. The texts stopped. Then came the voicemails. One night, around 6 a.m., he left me a message. It was a mess. He was crying, barely able to string two sentences together. "I lost everything," he sobbed. "I lost you. I never thought you'd actually leave. Please don't do this. You're all I had." It almost would have been funny, if it hadn't been so sad. Because if I really meant that much to him, he wouldn't have treated me like I was disposable. He wasn't afraid of losing me when he told me to get out. He only panicked when the consequences showed up. I listened to the voicemail once. Then I deleted it. The next morning, I sent one last text, just to make sure we were crystal clear. You lost me the moment you told me to leave. Now I'm just following through. After that, I blocked his number. For good. No more texts. No more calls. No more explanations. I didn't owe him anything. I was done carrying the guilt he kept trying to throw back at me. I was finally free. These days, I'm focused on rebuilding. On me. I found a new place, a small apartment that I absolutely love. It's mine, all mine. And with every box I unpacked, I felt something shift. Lighter. Brighter. There's no drama here. No constant tightrope walking. No wondering what kind of mood I'll wake up to. Just peace. For the first time in years. The divorce is almost fully finalized, and I'm ready to shut this chapter completely. The petty revenge? That part's over. My real victory is simple: I walked away, and I'm living my truth. It's been a couple of months now since I wrapped everything up legally. The divorce is finalized. And my life? It feels lighter. Clearer. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment with warm walls and big windows that let sunlight pour in. It's cozy in the best way. The kind of place that hugs you when you walk in the door. The first few days, I couldn't stop smiling. I'd walk from room to room just to remind myself, I did this. I got out. No angry voice waiting in the next room. No passive-aggressive remarks. No one trying to control my every move. Just quiet. Just me. The first night I spent there, I slept straight through. No nightmares. No waking up in a panic. No bracing for a morning argument. I opened my eyes and felt peace. It was surreal. I started eating better too. I hadn't realized how much the constant stress had been weighing on my body until I finally let it go. Everything improved. For a few weeks, life was quiet, and it was exactly what I needed. I reconnected with myself. But, of course, Tyler couldn't resist one last attempt. A few weeks back, I got an email from him. The subject line was just, "Let's talk." I already knew what it was going to say. And sure enough, it was long and drawn out. Full of apologies. Full of promises. "I'm sorry. I made a huge mistake. We can fix this if we just communicate. I'll do better." I didn't even finish reading it. I deleted it immediately. I knew the cycle. I'd lived it too many times already. Giving him even an inch of hope would just reopen wounds that I had finally started to close. Instead, I focused on the next step, therapy. I'd already decided it was time to work on myself, to really dig into everything I'd been through. So I found a therapist. Talking about the past wasn't easy at first. There were moments where I wanted to shut down. But as the sessions went on, I started to see just how much damage had been done, and how much of myself I'd lost along the way. It wasn't just about Tyler or Colleen. It was about me learning to stop shrinking just to keep the peace. Therapy gave me that clarity. It gave me permission to prioritize me again. And it wasn't just therapy helping me heal. I started reconnecting with people too. Friends I'd lost touch with. People I hadn't spoken to in months, or years. During my marriage, I isolated myself. It was easier than explaining. Easier than facing questions I didn't want to answer. But now, I was slowly rebuilding that community. And for the first time in forever, I could go out for a drink, laugh until my face hurt, enjoy a meal without checking my phone. I didn't have to worry about Tyler's jealousy or Colleen's opinions. I didn't need to justify my joy. Things started picking up at work too. I got a promotion, an opportunity that would have never come my way if I'd stayed in that marriage. Tyler had always managed to pull my focus back to him, his needs, his emotions. My goals came last. Now, I was moving forward. And I couldn't help but think, he held me back far more than I ever realized. Every once in a while, I do wonder what he's doing now. But not in the way I used to. Not out of longing. Out of distance. Because where I'm standing now? It's a whole world away from where I was. Word started trickling in from mutual friends, bits and pieces about Tyler's downward spiral. Apparently, he'd been drinking more than usual, telling anyone who'd listened that he'd lost me over nothing. Some of his relatives said he looked miserable. But not once did he reach out to me. And honestly, I didn't feel guilty. Not even a little. If anything, I felt relieved. Relieved to finally be free of the chaos. Free of the emotional blackmail, the passive-aggressive manipulation, and Colleen's constant interference. It wasn't my circus anymore. Not my problem. When the divorce officially went through, it felt like someone had lifted a boulder off my chest. Tyler, from what I heard, was still in shock that I'd actually followed through. But I was free now, legally and emotionally. There were no second thoughts. No more delays. I was done. And then something unexpected happened. Colleen went quiet. After years of relentless texts, calls, and meddling, she just stopped. Nothing. Radio silence. I have a feeling Tyler finally told her I wasn't coming back, and she realized there was no point in trying to control me anymore. Life started moving again. And I leaned into it. I dipped my toe back into the dating world, casually at first. And it was eye-opening. Turns out, not all men are walking red flags. The people I've met since, genuine, respectful, kind, made me realize just how toxic my old relationship really was. No games. No tension. Just ease. And then I heard it, Tyler had moved back in with Colleen. Word was, he was struggling financially, falling behind on bills, still blaming me for his life falling apart. But you know what? I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt grateful that I escaped before it dragged me under too. Tyler's reality was crashing in on him, and while I could picture it clearly, him sitting in the same house I once dreaded, spiraling, I felt no pull to return, no sympathy strong enough to bridge the gap. Looking back now, I can't believe how much I tolerated. How far I bent to keep a broken thing standing. Never again. Now, I know exactly what I deserve: respect, support, honesty. I won't settle for less, and I won't compromise who I am just to make someone else comfortable. This new chapter? It's all on my terms. It's been a full year since I walked out of that marriage. And honestly, my life is unrecognizable, in the best way. It feels like I've stepped into an entirely new world. A world where I call the shots. Where I can finally breathe without checking someone else's mood first. No drama. No guilt-tripping. No one trying to dim my light. At work, I've been thriving. Back when I was with Tyler, I constantly held myself back, afraid to shine too bright, afraid of stepping on the wrong toes, or triggering another spiral. But now? I've embraced opportunity. I've taken risks. Led projects. Said yes to promotions I once would have shied away from. And it's paid off. I've found a rhythm. A sense of purpose. Fulfillment. I also found something I didn't think I'd get again: love. Real, healthy, quiet love. My new partner? He listens. He respects boundaries. He shows up, without conditions, without keeping score. There are no emotional landmines, no manipulation. Just partnership. After so many years of walking on eggshells, it's honestly shocking to be with someone who doesn't twist my words, who doesn't let his mother interfere, who actually shows up emotionally. It's healing in ways I didn't know I needed. Meanwhile, Tyler? Last I heard, he's still stuck in the same place, living with Colleen, scraping by, blaming everyone but himself. Mutual friends say the fights between them are frequent and ugly, but he won't leave. He can't. He's dependent on her in every way. Colleen's control hasn't eased, it's grown stronger. She isn't just his overbearing mother anymore. She's his caretaker, his confidant, his entire support system. He's trapped in the same toxic web he helped spin. It's ironic, really. He used to blame me for dividing the family, but now he's back where he started, in the very dynamic I tried so hard to escape. And nothing's changed. Except me, I'm gone. And I'm never going back. Recently, a friend told me Tyler's been rethinking everything. That he regrets how he treated me. That he wishes he'd handled things differently. But even now, he won't take full responsibility. Instead of owning his part, he's pointing fingers at Colleen. Saying she ruined our marriage. It's almost laughable. He's been asking around, trying to get friends to check in on me or see if I'd be open to talking. I shut that down immediately. I've made it clear, there's nothing left to say. When I heard all this, I expected to feel something. Sadness. Closure. Even anger. But I didn't feel anything at all. Because at the end of the day, you can't feel bad for someone who refuses to take accountability. If he really wanted to change, he would have done it long ago. Then, just a few days ago, I got a random message. No name. No signature. Just a vague, anonymous note asking if I was okay and saying I was missed. I knew immediately it was from Tyler. I thought about replying. Just for a second. But then I realized, he didn't deserve a reply. I deleted the message without a second thought. Over the past year, I've grown in ways I never thought possible. There isn't a single part of me that wants to go back to that life. I've learned who I am. What I need. What I won't tolerate. Every day feels like a clean slate. I'm no longer tiptoeing through life. I'm not bracing for someone else's mood swings. I'm living for me. What felt like the worst thing at the time, walking away from my marriage, turned out to be the best decision I've ever made. If I hadn't left, I'd still be trapped in a life that drained me. Still sacrificing my happiness for someone who never prioritized me. Still shrinking just to make space for someone else's ego. Now, I see it clearly. Tyler wasn't just inconsiderate, he was manipulative. And Colleen's grip on him? It ran deeper than I ever realized. He never chose me. Not fully. Not once. And now? He's stuck. Trapped in the very mess he refused to clean up. The same cycle. The same excuses. As for Colleen, she reached out again recently, blaming me for ruining Tyler's life. I didn't even open the message. I just blocked her. Instantly. Without hesitation. I've moved on. I'm done with both of them. And yes, I feel closure. But not the kind that comes from an apology or a final conversation. This closure comes from knowing I saved myself. Tyler made his choices. And now, he has to live with them. As for me? I'm done looking back. I'm moving forward, with no regrets. And for the first time in my life, I've finally got the future I deserve.